Welcome to Grit, the Real Estate Growth Mindset podcast, hosted by Brian Charlesworth, founder of Sisu. Sisu provides growth automation software for real estate. You'll hear stories from real estate thought and technology leaders, team owners, and brokers on how they grew their business in a rapidly changing industry. You'll learn how to transform your brokerage and teams into a high-performing and analytics-driven business so you have a new, durable, competitive advantage against disruption in your market. So let's get right into it.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Grit Podcast. I'm Brian Charlesworth. I'm the founder of Sisu and your host of the show. Today, before we get started, I've had a lot of our customers ask me to bring in some Sisu power users. They said, Brian, why do you always on your podcast say, well, I try not to talk about Sisu. They want to hear more about Sisu. So I thought I'd bring in a special guest today, and that guest is Bengtzen. Spring was actually our first user at Sisu. So she's been with us since we had a beta. Like, we rolled out really our platform in January of 19. And 6 months before that, we rolled out an app, and she was the first user on the app and then the platform. And the reason she was the first user is because she is my wife. And she was my wife at the time, and she still is. And anyway, but Spring basically is the reason that I saw the opportunity to build this platform for the real estate industry. And so it was built for Spring, and it did such amazing things for her business that we've taken Sisu and launched it to the real estate world. But Spring, when we started looking at doing Sisu, like, you had a business that had, I think, about 5 agents on your team. Mm-hmm. Tell us today how big your business is. I think you have 25 agents on your team, and I don't know how many in your brokerage. So
yeah. So thanks for having me, Double O. I feel like you're circumventing this because I'm your wife. So hey everyone, I'm Springton. You'll hear me call him Double O because that's what I call him, 007. But anyway, so when we started Sisu, I had roughly probably 5 agents. I was doing about $50 million in production a year. Currently, I am now up to 25 agents, and I own a real estate brokerage as well. And we're on pace. This is being filmed or whatever it is, recorded in August, and we've sold over 200 homes this year. So we're on pace to do about 350 homes this year.
Congratulations. It's been super fun to see you grow your business. And as you know, Spring, I mean, I spend my days on Zoom calls with many of our customers. As I see your culture, I think the 2 biggest differences that you have that I want to talk about, and I want to talk about that as a whole, and then how Sisu plays into that. But your culture is like none that I've seen. Like the competitive spirit you guys have, and all of the sales challenges, and then all of the mindset training. So culture and mindset are the 2 main things I want to focus in on with you today.
Yep.
So, like, again, if I walk in to our office, which we both office in the same building. Mm-hmm. So if I walk into our office, I mean, I hear your team like on the other side of the building because the energy is just pumping. And I mean, if I'm on a podcast with someone else, I'm like trying to get my door to shut tighter. But talk to us about culture and what you guys have done there to really differentiate, because I think so many teams are struggling with their agents staying in the business. And like, your agents are recruiting for you at this point. So I want to learn more about that.
So I freaking love my culture. My culture is awesome. And I was actually just talking about this with Justin of like, we haven't had turnover in probably 2 years now. And it's because everybody loves the environment. And I just believe that if you're going to work, like, we spend more time with our agents and at work than we do sometimes with our family. And if you're going to do it, then you might as well have a super cool culture. So we are a culture of accountability, 100%, and that's based off of Sisu. We're a culture of productivity. So a lot of it is all productivity, but then we're a culture of fun. So my team, everybody is so completely different. backgrounds, history, all that. But I hire off of a few core values. And so one of those is the mindset of a champion. And then having fun and passion in their lives. And the other one is that demonstrate humility, integrity, and respect. And so one of the things that we've implemented that's really been key to our culture is we do a hello week. And so what I was finding with my team is what was really killing the culture at first is I would hire somebody to come in and they'd come in for a week or 2 weeks and they would just kill the culture and not be the right person. Or as you know, people get into real estate and then think that like it's HGTV, and the reality of it is it's anything but HGTV. And so we started implementing Hell Week, but I call it Hello Week. And I put them through for a week of higher standards than I hold the team to see if they're going to show up. And if they show up for that, then they are onboarded for 30 days. From doing that, like I probably have maybe 40% that stick, meaning they stay on the team, but if they stay, they're staying long-term. And so that's been like a huge benefit to us.
So I think you've been able to do that though it's a little bit different because now you own a brokerage and a team. So you can recruit people into the brokerage and say, hey, we'll put you through this hello week.
Hello week.
And see if if you're a great fit for the team. If not, just stay in the brokerage. Is that true? Is that how you're doing that?
So I hire everybody to the brokerage, always. Brokerage first, team second. Most of them come wanting the team, to be honest with you. But I tell them, hey, the team's not for everybody. I have a high level of accountability, and our culture is productivity based. And so why don't you come for a week and shadow and experience Hello Week and see if we're the right fit for you. And again, sometimes we're not, and sometimes we are, but at least gives them that insight into it. And so we'll have them come and shadow beforehand. Even before they join the brokerage, we'll have them come in and come to all of our team meetings, performance coaching, huddles, script and role play, just so they see what they're getting. Okay,
so I hadn't planned on talking about this. This is not mindset. This is not culture, but recruiting. You guys I think your plan is to recruit. You've been recruiting about 5 agents a month. You're now stepping that up to 10 agents a month. Talk about what you're doing to recruit.
So I have a full recruiting strategy. So I believe if somebody will come into our culture, they want to stay. Like, if they're the right fit. And when I say that is sometimes we're just not everybody is into the high vibe, let's have fun / sell some houses. Like, let's just be real about that. So, I believe that if they come in and experience, they want to stay. So we invite everybody to come to our sales meeting and performance coaching just so they can experience it. But my overall recruiting strategy is a couple of things. I do have somebody who cold calls all the people going through real estate school to get them in for a consultation with us, just to understand where they're at. I also do run Facebook ads. So I run Facebook ads from agent success stories. I run Facebook ads of inviting them to our meetings. I run Facebook ads of just real life, of asking the question during COVID, hey, it's springtime here, it's COVID, you've been at home, working from home, and I'm sure you're having a lot of time to think, are you in the right environment? If you're not, DM me, let's talk, So I have a pretty aggressive Facebook ad spend right now that is targeting specific to realtors and just bringing value. And then what we'll do is when they inquire, we'll again have them come in to a performance coaching and do a strategy session to see if we're the right fit.
Okay. So you talked about adding value, and I want to jump into mindset because that's a big part of the value you guys are bringing. Yeah. Mindset is so important in this industry, and whether somebody's on your team or in your brokerage or not on your team and in your brokerage, you guys are doing a training every week on mindset.
Yes.
Tell us about mindset and the importance of that and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so we call it performance coaching. It's once a week, and I believe real estate's 80, maybe 90% mindset and 20% skill. So it starts all up here. And so that's what we heavily train on. So I recently partnered with a gentleman, his name is Justin Nilsson. I'm sure you'll have him on your podcast. He used to work for Tony Robbins as a performance strategist for 5 years. And he's a freaking powerhouse. Like, he brings that level of mindset, coaching, training, and then I bring the real estate element. I'm not chopped liver, but compared to him, like, he's a fantastic speaker, and he can just raise the energy in the room, like, by far. And so right now, for recruiting and for our agents, we do these performance coaching, but we just invite anybody. It's just like, hey, it's an open door. As you mentioned, we office out of the same building. So the room that we use is not broker, like, branded Realty ONE or Utah Life. And so agents from other companies feel comfortable coming. And once they start coming to it a few times, they're like, I need to be in this environment. So that's been a huge part of our growth.
Yeah, totally agree. And it's a huge part of your culture as well. Because people come and they're thrilled about participating in this mindset training or performance coaching once a week. And so much so, you said Justin will be on the podcast. We are actually starting, as you know, next week. Sisu is going to start rolling out mindset training once a week, starting next Tuesday at 10 a.m. So that'll be the same day this podcast comes out. And that'll be Sisu's first day of doing that. Together with Justin and Spring, we're going to do that. So I think it's going to be a huge value to all of our customers, and we're really excited about that. So
it's honestly how we've doubled our business this year. Like, during COVID, like, COVID was probably a huge blessing for us because we already had a good culture. We already had all of that, but it was like amplified of like, all right, that panic set in at very first. And we're like, what do we got to do? Well, we know we've got to keep these guys' head on straight. We've got to keep them in the game, working from home. And so we executed at a really high level of the mindset and the high accountability. Like, we were in our scoreboards, our Sisu is probably, for me, has been a huge game changer in my business for just feeling like a real business owner, which I know that sounds cliche, but without knowing your numbers, not knowing your ROI and what your agents are doing, sometimes it just feels like you're at the mercy of your agent's production. But with Sisu, I was able to just know exactly. So we would, during COVID, and we still do it, obviously, but our Slack channel, our VA slacks out our dashboard, takes a screenshot, slacks it out 4 times a day. So it just hits our general Slack channel, like, here's where you're at, you know? And then we had a cadence of accountability around it every single morning. Okay, guys, pull up your own Sisus. Let's figure out what you need to do today to stay on pace, to stay all orange. And then we did the mindset coaching around it, and we crushed it, and we've crushed it ever since. So
for those of you watching, Spring started the year doing about 20 transactions a month, then moved up to 30. And right now, for the last few months, she's been doing over 40 transactions a month. Yeah. So just steadily growing. I know she said 350 this year. If she keeps growing at that rate, she'll actually hit 400 this year. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess we'll see where that comes in. But that's super exciting. So, Spring, you talk about a culture of accountability. Yep. What exactly does that mean to you?
Being accountable to what you said you wanted. So when I onboard somebody, we go through what they want to make happen this year. I'll ask them, is that what you sounds good to you, or do you really, really want it? And what is your why? So we have them identify that, but then we'll create their scoreboard, their dashboard based off what they said. Because I know if they hit their goals, then we'll hit our goals, right? And if all of their goals don't add up to what my personal goal is, then I just need to recruit more agents. So we hold them.
So you're going in, I mean, for those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Sisu, you're going into Sisu, you're setting up goals. You have your team goals, your company, your brokerage goals, and then each individual agent has their goals. And then how do you hold them accountable to those goals?
Yeah. So when I onboard them, so they go through Hello Week, and then I do a 2-day onboarding where I map out everything, and we go through what their Sisu is. We get their Sisu dialed in. From there, we will do a weekly one-on-one with them, in person, 30 minutes. I'm heading into one-on-ones after this. And we'll pull up their Sisu dashboards and go over the activities for the week, where they're pacing based off of what they said they wanted to do. And then I will also hit on, we have a scorecard. We use Boomtown. We have a scorecard of what their database looks like, their activities they did in their database. And then obviously we go over life stuff of what's happening with life. Then for accountability as well is we do a weekly sales meeting every Wednesday. Every single person reports out their Sisu numbers. So they'll say 102 conversations, 4 listing appointments, 2 buyer appointments set, met, 1 signed, 1 under contract, 1 closed. And we all clap if they hit over 100 conversations or if they got a UC. That alone, they don't want to not report out their numbers. Like, I mean, they don't want to not track them because they're going to have to report it in front of everybody. And then we'll also in that meeting pull up our dashboards and we'll go over where we're at, where as a team that we can come together. So that's how, like, on a weekly, monthly, daily, how we do it. We also put a lot of cadence of accountability around the numbers because we run a lot of contests. I'm like the contest queen.
So let's dive into contests, right?
Yeah.
Because that's something that I think so many team owners that I see, or even brokerages that I see, want to start implementing, but they just can't figure out how to do it. So
if you've been enjoying Grit, please help us continue to grow the channel by leaving a 5-star review and sharing it with a friend. Now back to Grit.
Give us some examples of what's working for you. And in my opinion, this has completely changed your culture. This and the mindset training, those are the 2 keys from my third-party perspective that have totally changed your culture.
Yeah, so we run contests every month. The contests I have running right now, I have 3 teams of 7 or 6 or 8 or whatever, but of agents. They have a team leader that's assigned to them. And this month's contest is, there's a points for conversations, listings, because listings right now are brutal, I'm sure for all of you. Listing appointments listing appointments met, and then signed, and then under contract. So there's points for each one of those. And the contest I have running this month is the team that hits 15, they have to have a minimum of 15 under contract. So it's basically 2 under contract per agent on the team. Once they hit that 15, whoever has the most points will get to go for a weekend in Park City. One of those teams, as long as they hit over 15 cells, will go for a weekend in Park City that we'll pay for. Contests that I've ran in the past has just been that one's kind of complicated, but I wanted it to be activity based. And I have a bunch of new agents that I wanted them to feel like they could contribute, and how they can contribute is making those conversations, building their pipeline. So that's why I did that one. In the past, I've done boys versus girls when I had an equal amount of boys and girls, and that one was fire. It always works. But I don't have a equal or even close to equal amount of male and female right now. So that wasn't going to work, but that one was strictly just under contracts. I've done it listing taken. I've done all kinds of them, but every month it just creates that camaraderie / competitiveness.
So let's dive a little deeper into this month.
Okay.
So you have conversations when somebody goes on a listing appointment, when somebody gets a listing signed, and when somebody gets a listing under contract.
Or no, just an under contract period.
Any under contract. Okay.
Yeah.
So based on that, there's so many questions about what's the best way to do points. So how do you make it so those new agents can participate and actively compete in that challenge? How many points do you assign to each of those different activities?
I only put 10 for every conversation.
10 for every conversation? Okay.
Yeah. And then I put the agreement signed. So a listing I valued the same as an under contract, which was 500.
Okay.
So yes, it's only 10 points for conversation, but honestly, if they're in 20 or 30 conversations, that's 200 to 300 points in a day. I mean, that can get them very easily up to a UC, the same points as what an under contract can be if they're putting in the work. And
so you're driving the activities that are going to create the success.
Yeah. And the points right now in my team are really close. So what we do is we Slack out every morning, and I use a Sisu messaging as well through the system. And I'll just update, like, they have their scoreboards in each of the individual offices as well, but I will update and just say, hey, they all pick their own team names. So one of them is the luxury ladies, one of them is the boss babes. And then I have a team, mostly guys, that called themselves the 5 men and a little lady. And I'll Slack out. You're laughing right now, I know. I'll Slack out where they're at in terms of the competition, points wise, and they're all within like 20 or 30 points of each other. So it's pretty close.
Okay. So for those of you who are looking to run sales challenges in your business, I think Spring has had as much success with this as anyone I've ever seen. So we'll get her information here at the end and have you be able to reach out to her. Spring, let's talk a little bit more about the mindset. Because I think so many people are like, what does that mean? What does a mindset training look like? I mean, if I wanted to implement this in my business, like, what does that actually mean? I mean, I guess we'll give everyone a taste of it with what we're rolling out next Tuesday, but I don't think people know where to start with that.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have known where to start, except for I do have personal experience, and I think you do as well, but everything in life is energy. And that's not foo-foo. It's not anything weird. The reality of it is, if you have an agent showing up that's low energy, low activities, that's the results they're going to get. But if you have an agent that's showing up that's high energy, high excitement on the phones, like, those are the results they're going to get. So I think even just putting awareness around that in your culture, we all know it, but then teaching them and training them around this, like, you get in life what you think you deserve, and you get in life how you show up. So if these agents are showing up being like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't feel confident, like, that's what they're going to freaking get, right? But if you're teaching them, like, no, you're a bad A, you work on a top producing team, you might not know everything today, but guess what? You work for Spring and you work with so-and-so, and they do. So give yourself that confidence. And so we just do a lot of training around, who are you? How are you showing up, and what do you want to create? And where Justin comes in is, I obviously know this stuff, like, you being married to me, this, like, I invest a lot of time and money into Spring Inc. is what I'll call it, me as a person. And so I've done a lot of coaching, I still do. And I'm high energy. Justin, however, though, like, he's a phenomenal presenter and speaker. And so he just articulates it and he commands that presence. And so it's like, it's just that boom, and people want it and they feel it. So what's happening is, when they get into this and they're like, man, I feel good and I'm getting the results, this is awesome, is where you're starting to see that shift.
You and I have been to all the Tony Robbins events together.
Yep.
And when I'm in that room, I feel like I'm at another Tony Robbins event. I mean, it feels amazing.
Why do you think I love it so much?
I think it's really as simple as this, though. I mean, just the little things. And just one example, I've been on Zoom meetings all day today. As you know, I'm still at home. I was here when you left this morning. I've been on Zoom meetings since 8 a.m. And before I got on this with you, I'm like, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to go jump on my trampoline for a minute and raise my energy. And I think it's just little things like that, just knowing that movement can create energy. Mm-hmm. And there's so many little tips that you guys give and just share to add value, not only to their work lives, but to their personal lives. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, we coach very much so on who they are as a person, like a life by design. What is it you're wanting to create? Like, I mean, you guys, everybody who's listening to this, we know real estate is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Let's be real about it. And so it's like, who are you showing up? Like, if you're a team leader that's listening to this, you have the systems and everything in place. Like, you've built a cool business. Now it's all about the people and creating these people to have the self-belief and the skill set. And so our training isn't all mindset. We do a lot of skill set training. So we huddle every morning and we'll do a little knowledge bomb, and then we'll do an energy thing, and everybody reports out their rocks. We do every Monday and Thursday, we do unstoppable coaching, which is for newer agents. It's skill-based. So it's not mindset training. It's all real estate related. We do Tuesdays and Thursdays. We do script and role play every morning. And then Wednesday is performance coaching. So we do have a lot of real estate coaching in the mix, but we just believe that you started off with like, how are you showing up? Like, who are you and what is it that you're going to create and what value are you going to bring to your real estate business today?
Yeah. So, okay. So we've talked about mindset. We've talked about the culture of accountability.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked too much about culture of productivity, which you mentioned. How do you differentiate accountability and productivity?
For me, productivity is what are the activities happening? Like I can hold you accountable and say, hey, this is what you wanted to do. You said this is what you were going to do. But productivity to me is like, what are you actually doing? You know? And so again, we report out every morning, we do our huddles, and we have the scoreboards being posted all the time. Plus they're on every wall. But a big part of it in their one-on-ones is just that, like, what activities have you done today? Or this week. I think you and I can relate on this. Like, it's easy to be like, oh, I made 100 conversations and I went on one appointment. And this is a harsh way of saying it, but I'll be, okay, how long did those 100 conversations take you? Maybe 2.5 hours. Okay. And you went on one appointment. How long did that appointment take you? Maybe an hour and a half, and to prep for it, an hour. So let's just say 4 hours. So if you took 4 hours on your business, what did you do for the other 38 hours of your 40-hour work week? And I just think it's when you like really start to like just get their minds turning and then thinking about like, how are you being productive today? So we go into it with the mindset of everything you do is based off of is to getting an appointment. The conversations are to get an appointment. Everything is all, and then we use our dashboards for it all. But I just think this industry is so easy to just be non-productive, like coming in, socializing, doing their thing. It's like at the end of the day, like nothing happens unless you're in production. So let's put a cadence of accountability around what are you actually doing to be productive.
So the real estate industry just happens to be like an industry where people are these D and I personalities, and everybody likes to talk and everybody likes to, so it's easy to get unproductive, but everything you guys do is focused around numbers, dashboards, scoreboards, gamification, sales challenges, if you will, when I say gamification, and fun. And so let's key in a little bit more on fun, because your agents have a tremendous amount of fun. You said that's your third culture.
Yeah, fun and passion in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah. So what drives the fun? I know the sales challenges do, but you guys do more than that to drive fun. Seems like your people are always having a great time there.
Yeah. I mean, we do a couple of things. Like we do a mid-year retreat. Last year we did something that was like, we rented houses and everybody went up, and we did have a business consultant come up. But we made it fun too. Like we did an amazing race scavenger hunt. You were there. As well as dinners. We will do things like Top Golf night, or we will do things such as like we just went boating as a group not too long ago. And we'll do an end of the year retreat where like right now we're looking at renting out the yurt at Powder Mountain, which is a local ski resort that's on top of the hill. So we do a lot of that type of thing, but I think the fact that our Slack channel, this sounds crazy, but it's just, we Slack out anytime anybody puts an under contract or has a win. And so our Slack channel is constantly blowing up. And I think like that high energy of everybody like, yay, congrats, that's awesome. It just creates this fun environment. And then they formed friendships. So a lot of them are even like, hey, do you want to go door knocking with me today? Like, it's like their social hangout. I'm like, who thinks about going door knocking as a group of chicks? But okay, I'm down with it, you know? So for me, I think it's that they also like, they form the friendship component of it as well. Like they like being with each other. They like to go and do things outside of here together. Like our office is in a shopping district, so they'll go to lunch. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's just the small little things that add up, that they're like, we like each other, we like our environment, and they're growing.
Yeah.
We're changing lives, 007.
Yes, I know. I see it every day.
You
So
know.
let's talk a little more of Slack. And I know Spring has a hard stop here in just a minute. Slack, though, your Slack channel is constantly blowing up. So
No,
what does that
sorry.
mean, though? Because I think there's a lot of people that don't even know what Slack is. But if you know what Slack is, are you guys, every time someone has a success, are you guys pushing it out? And what
Yeah.
does that do? What does that do for the next person? In my opinion, it makes, if I get a Slack of somebody that just passed me and is beating me in a sales contest, well, now I want to step it up and I want to report the next under contract.
Yeah, so it's funny. So we've used Slack for a long time, and it's how when I do a challenge, I'll put them in their own Slack channels of their teams. But our general channel has, like, if somebody has a question or a success, and so it's constantly like such and such under contract, or just took a listing. And like when we take a new listing, we'll Slack it out to our team to see if we have a buyer for it before it hits the market or whatever. So it's constantly going off. When Sisu, I had a Zapier integration, I still do. And we integrated it that when something cool happened in Sisu, it just pushed to Slack. But it was interesting because I was like, hell yeah, this is cool. We can just automate this and this will be awesome. But the agents actually didn't like it. They liked actually typing out their message and being like, hey, I got a UC. And then everybody giving the thumbs up and the high fives and the camaraderie around it. So we actually disconnected that. There's just something about being able to toot your own horn, plus give like a high five, a virtual high five. So it's been fun. I would tell you guys, if you don't use something, and we've used other things, but Slack seems to work really well for us, I would definitely implement it into my business.
Okay, I know we have 2 minutes, Spring. What's the one piece of advice you would give to people that you feel is the most important thing if they're building a business, if they want to double their business every year, like what you've been doing for the last 3 years?
Recruiting. So I say this all the time, like there's not a lack of resources in this industry. Like the real estate industry is so cool because we share everything. I'm literally telling you guys how I run my business right now. Like everybody shares every component of what they do. It's just the actual execution of it. But it comes down to having the talent. And so for me, it's all about who I'm in business with. Like my team is awesome. Justin's awesome. My ancillary business partners are awesome. It comes down to that people component of it. And so I would tell you 100%, you have to recruit and put goals around that, just like you are with your real estate sales.
So a lot of our customers don't even know that we have a recruiting platform at this point, but Spring uses our recruiting platform, which works exactly like our real estate platform. It just tracks her recruiting efforts, which has allowed her to have goals in that department as well.
Yeah, so my director of sales uses that platform, the recruiting platform. And so we run it just like we do our sales team. It syncs to our CRM through a Zapier integration of whenever they're marked as hot in their, as a hot agent, it will automatically import them into our recruiting Sisu dashboard. And then we do a one-on-one every single week, just like I do with my sales agents, and we go through the dashboard. Okay, who's in the pipeline? Who's converting this week? Whose team? Who is the brokerage? How many appointments do we have this week? And so we're just treating it exactly like we would our sales team. And that's where we're seeing like the momentum hit.
And don't you guys also use that for, now that there's task management in there, don't you use that for your agent onboarding as well?
Task management, okay. It's a game changer, 00. We do use it for all of our onboarding. Our VA team in India, I'll give a shout out to our VA team. I actually, I think it's Executive Real Estate Services. It's out of North Carolina. They run a VA team. You guys should check it out. But we use Sisu for all of the onboarding, unless it's like something, credit card number or whatever. My ops person handles maybe 10% of that onboarding, but we use it for that. And then we also use task management for all of our VA / transaction management. So we moved everything over from our Asana and all the other stuff we were using, and we run it 100% out of Sisu, and it's awesome. Like, it's been cool to see the push notifications come through to the agents. It's been great to see. I get notified. I get notified every morning of, hey, your deadline dates or whatever. I would tell you for sure, both platforms, task management's been great.
Cool. Well, I know we're out of time, Spring. There's probably going to be some people that want to hear more from you. What's the best way for them to reach you?
My email is spring@liveutah.com. Just send me a message. I'd be happy to chat with you. I'm not great on social, so I know I get a lot of DMs on Facebook. I don't even have Facebook on my phone, so just shoot me an email.
Okay, Spring. Thank you so much. I was able to get Springtime to join me today after just a quick invite I sent her last night to jump on this today. So thanks for joining us. Love you, babe.
I'll see you in a few hours.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, babe.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on our podcast. If you have an interest in a free 7-day trial of Sisu, go to sisu.co, sisu.co. Make sure that you use the coupon code GRIT, that's GRIT, to waive all your setup fees and receive a 10% discount on your subscription. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and want to subscribe, search GRIT, the Real Estate Growth Mindset, on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean. And with that, we'll catch you next time. Take care.